Ogyla has fallen to the Igharimen. Their surprise attack and unjust war led to the death of over 500 loyal, honorable Egyptians just performing their duty as border guards. A disgrace. Libya was once again contested. This will be remembered in the new dynastic list, so no one will forget what cruelties occurred here. Ptolemy was troubled greatly, not because of the lost city, but rather the unstoppable rebellions that kept erupting along the coast. Conspirators with the pirates, I say. At least the Menexos has reached Ammonium, where he would bolster his defenses for the desert horde. Lysandros, the prominent commander of Alexander's Ethiopia, was actively replenishing his army for his campaign in the south, and more importantly, recruiting a spy to scout the terrain. Eyes are needed everywhere to make sure none slips past our lines. To the east of that, in Arabia, our former trade partner Himyar has been eradicated by Saba, a kingdom prostituting themselves with spice and camels. If only they were willing to share their wealth with us, but no. Their inaction just makes their great dam of Marib even more lucrative. If we are to complete our goal of acquiring all the wonders in the world, it must be ours. Our Kyrenian puppet has been caught off guard. Their horse army was operating near Ogyla when the Igharimen invaded. Unable to help and with their prized walls being left unguarded, the hostile tribe had sent in yet another raiding party. With all haste, our client state rushed through the scorching sands, leaving more bodies behind than what actually made it through. Right before the pirate fleet could link up with the rebels, Ptolemy swiftly extinguished their flames with the assistance of new Libyan troops. Having mastered the drills for the bow, he began focusing on swordsmanship instead. May the warriors serving under the pharaoh be the finest to ever walk in Egypt. Once Lysandros was close to the Ospolis, the local governor knew his mustered units were to better use for the glorified commander. A simple one fit with an incredibly massive pike line and bowmen to cover their back. Quite expensive to be frank, yet not expensive enough to deny us the opportunity to expand our ancient capital Alexandria. And after further legal acquiring of money, there was even enough to renovate the famed port, granting us more space for trade, fishing, and most importantly, the ability to construct proper ships. It couldn't be finished fast enough as the pirate fleet was growing, having doubled in size over the same month. This basically opened yet another front. We have enemies all around us, with the Igharimen being the most aggressive of the bunch. That is probably why they befriended the Nasamones, to be honest. Just two sides of the same coin. Different, but still one and the same. To the surprise of many, an ambassador from Asia Minor, the Attalids requested to work together in order to defeat the warmongering Seleucids. They offered to eliminate the puppet state Lydia in exchange for free-flowing trade between our cities. A worthy agreement that was nothing but profitable to us. Very profitable. The Rhodians also wanted to make something more formal than that, but as we didn't have the resources to help in their wars, it was declined. Something devious was going on in Ethiopia. Only one of the two known Medewi armies was visible to us. Fear led many to believe it was secretly coming towards Egypt proper. Nevertheless, Lysandros doubted the intelligence of these ferocious people, imagining they were just preoccupied with sucking off each other's feet. Disgusting, really. With some of the gold Egypt still had in reserve, he paid for African mercenary elephants to significantly improve his fighting abilities. Another army that had disappeared was the one in Libya. Expecting this to be a curse from the gods, a shrine of Amun Zeus was ordered to be constructed, hoping it would revoke it. Menexos should have gone into a high alert because of this, but didn't. A grave mistake as the Igharimen revealed themselves with the Egyptian army caught outside the town. The rampaging horde was ruthless in their hunt for the few garrisoning units, doing their best to reach the reinforcing army coming to their rescue. But it was simply too late. The unlucky Egyptians stood no chance against the behemoths bashing them to the side. Menexox was a commander of great renown and a man who understood the efficiency of a simple tactic. He would place his army with a basic pike front line, native Libyan spearmen on each flank and archers in behind. The cavalry followed him personally ahead of the main army, seeking to get an early kill on the exposed enemy general. But due to some devil-like magic, it was too risky to pursue this goal. Instead, he would return to his army that barely managed to form up before the enemy charge. The struggle was challenging and bloody, but the most significant event actually took place away from the main battle. Menexox made a second attempt at taking down the enemy commander, only this time it was alone with his bodyguards. But right before the charge, he saw the amount of men following the enemy commander was way smaller than expected. Thinking nothing of it at first, he engaged. However, soon enough it would be revealed the enemy general had split up his private guard into 3 groups, with the other 2 being able to perform extra charges. It was truly a dark curse that had hit this troubled legion, making the commander float to be tortured by the gods. Possibly because the temple wasn't finished yet. He was the only Egyptian to get punished though, as the main army had won through sheer skill and strength. The death of another useless general meant nothing to Ptolemy, but the cost for a proper burial and the training for one to replace him was so high, we didn't have the funds to deal with the rampant piracy. The only positive on that front is that they have traveled further north, harassing the Seleucids instead of us. This also meant that Ptolemy finally could spend more time helping repel the Igharimen, instead of just guarding the ports. If only this happened sooner, as Cairene was lost, leaving their last army wandering to nothingness. Angered by this loss, both armies expediently marched for their individual targets. In the south, as Lysandras was near Ptolemy's Theron, news of the lost army arrived. The known army was still located in Medewi proper, whereas the other was on its way from Axum. They will attempt to stop us. Let them try. But first, Jason had cooked up a scheme. The former Egyptian settlement Phoenicia was unguarded and preoccupied with the pirates, formerly harassing us. He would take advantage of this and make a stealthful approach to the town. And somehow it worked out. Completely caught off guard, the garrison didn't stand a chance. A decisive victory that allowed the Egyptians to liberate the town in an attempt to establish a buffer state. They were even so pleased by our play, they were willing to become a satrapy. Perhaps a foolish move, as this just painted a target on their back. This was later confirmed once Jason had returned back south to his secure walls. An excellent plan, but a short-lived one at that. Despite knowing the Medewi tried to pinch Lysandras and his army, he didn't care. Why should he? If they are to attack him anyway, the town itself will just improve his defenses. It was occupied and looted in an attempt to discourage a Medewi counterattack. This unexpected flow of wealth also gave the proud commander a new, previously unheard of approach. Outmanned 2-1, he would need special forces to help in his campaign. Agents to convert the culture to Hellenic ways, and more importantly, heroes, who some believe to be demigods, who can go on a special mission to disrupt the Medewi movement. But it would take time for them to be ready, allowing the southernmost Medewi army to strike at Lysandras. The looting tactic must have worked. Why else is it only one of the 2 armies that are attacking? Such a disorganized tribe, not ready for modern warfare. The Javkef was sent outside the town to catch any enemies off guard. Initially, every single street was blocked by pikemen, but as we realized where the Medewi approached us from, we just focused on that area instead. The garrison would pin down the enemies, allowing our archers to focus them down. As more and more enemies bulked up in the same street, Lysandros gave the orders to his elephants to move out. They would link up with the cavalry, which still hunted down vulnerable units on the edge of the Medewi formation, if they can even call it that. Once ready, the Egyptian commander signaled for a cohesive strike from all sides. It was a devastating blow that, with the help of flaming arrows, made the entire enemy army rout off the field. No one escaped the wrath of Egypt today. With another decisive victory under his belt, Lysandros just proved once again why he is the most respectable commander of all. His accomplishments probably didn't have anything to do with it, but right after, the Igharimen of all nations offered a peace treaty. They only want to negotiate when they are winning, it seems. Initially, we tried persuading them to become a client state, but to no success. We did, however, end on good terms, with us even signing a trade agreement, non-aggression pact, and received a major payment in compensation for our losses. Peace finally fell upon the western borders at last, not in the manner Ptolemy had expected them. All they wanted was Kyrene and Orgilla. It hurt seeing this dragged out struggle led to no Egyptian progress. Yet the many agreements and the fact that the Igharimen were incredibly loyal, this could only be a sign of future prosperity. Plus, this also meant Ptolemy at last could turn his full attention to the north, the Seleucids. As Ptolemy passed by Alexandria, he decided to revamp his army a bit. The native Libyans were no longer of any use to the pharaoh. Instead, he would recruit more pikemen and these Judean slingers, with a superior range than the ones he already paid for. With Alexandria expanding even further the next month, he could even recruit some proper Agamer phalanxes for his army, which by now surely is elite beyond compare. This also made a place for the construction of a great library. Surely once completed, this will basically be a wonder in its own right. To make it even better, our many governors had improved their skills, even further elaborating on their talents as governors, and now also as tradesmen, granting us a further 1,500 golds per quarter. Of course, this was at expense of our barracks in Egypt, hence we had to improve the ones in Hierosolyma instead. Lysandros, full of confidence, marched directly for the vulnerable Axum, with all the agents traveling to the prized capital along the Nile, hoping to cause as much havoc as possible. At first we tried to assassinate their commander, but as it proved almost impossible, we resorted to sabotage. The Battle of the Gold Mines was delegated, resulting in a few casualties, but so be it. We now own something that potentially could improve our income tenfold, with enough investment and time, no doubt. Rumors about a possible rebellion started to float around, as Lysandros had openly bragged about his many victories, to the dislike of the locals, even his own men. It was their glory too. They did all the hard work, not just him. It was only because the Queen organized games in the province nothing came of it. The Medewi had even begun enacting countermeasures against our agents, causing many of them to return with severe wounds, leaving them out of action for a long time. So Lysandros had actually reached a crossroad here. Should he stay and secure public order, or attempt to pull out the weeds, root and stem? In the north, Ptolemy had finally linked up with Jason. Ready and in high spirit, they marched up the Levant. The invasion of Syria has begun.